Ahead on NewsWatch, Donald Trump links arms with House Speaker Paul Ryan, while Trump says he now has big hopes for their agenda on taxes and health care when he takes office. Plus, relocating the U.S. Embassy in Israel. Will the Trump administration risk a Mideast showdown for the sake of Jerusalem? And a defining moment for the church in America, how one congregation is discovering what it truly means to love your neighbor. And welcome to CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Donald Trump is defending one of his key cabinet picks and praising House Speaker Paul Ryan on his thank you tour in Wisconsin. And the president-elect is just about done filling out his key choices for his administration. Caitlin Burke has the latest on the Trump appointments.
In his home state, House Speaker Paul Ryan introduced Donald Trump. And although Trump had his differences with Ryan during the campaign, he said they'll be working closely together to get his agenda through Congress, also making it clear he now thinks highly of him.
You know, honestly, he's like a fine wine. Every day goes by, I get to appreciate his genius more and more. Now, if he ever goes against me, I'm not going to say that, okay? He's a great guy, and we have some amazing things in store. And we're going to work on taxes. We're going to work on Obamacare. We're going to work on things, and he's going to lead the way. So thank you.
Trump also took on the topic of his unconventional pick for Secretary of State, ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson.
Rex will be a fierce advocate for America's interests around the world and has the insights and talents necessary to help reverse years of foreign policy blunders and disasters.
While Tillerson has the approval of many, some Republican and Democratic senators question his close ties to Russia, setting up a possible confirmation battle. Meanwhile, Trump continues to meet with a wide variety of people. Tuesday alone, speaking with Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, music star Kanye West, and former NFL players Jim Brown and Ray Lewis. On the agenda for today, some of America's top tech leaders from companies like Apple, Facebook, Google, and Amazon. Despite early reports that Trump's transition team was in chaos, he's nearly finished filling out his key choices for his administration, choosing former Texas Governor Rick Perry for Energy Secretary and Representative Ryan Zinke of Montana for Interior Secretary. All of the cabinet positions require Senate approval, with Democrats certain to oppose some of them, but Republicans holding the majority and the ability to confirm Trump's choices. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Evacuation efforts in Aleppo have come to a halt as the latest truce has failed. Heavy shelling, rocket fire, and air raids by fighter jets have resumed just a day after the ceasefire was announced. Syrian opposition groups blame Iranian fighters allied with President Bashar al-Assad's forces for the renewed shelling. The attacks have halted plans to evacuate tens of thousands of civilians in a move that would have sealed the opposition's surrender of the city. ISIS is taking responsibility for the Egypt church bombing that claimed 25 lives. Egypt's president identified the bomber as a 22-year-old, Mahmoud Mustafa. A video captured the suicide bomber walking through the gates of the church and a cloud of smoke after the bomb was detonated. The attack killed mostly women. It is considered one of the deadliest to target Egypt's Coptic minority that makes up 10% of the population. Even before he takes office, Donald Trump's transition team reportedly is looking for places to relocate the embassy in Jerusalem. That move would fulfill one of his campaign promises. Chris Mitchell brings us that story.
During his campaign, Trump pledged to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. His campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, reiterated that pledge and said it's a very big priority for Trump. Some believe one possible location for the U.S. Embassy would be at the current site of the U.S. Citizen Services Office. It's located here in a Jerusalem neighborhood and considered a logical choice for a future embassy, but it's not the only potential site. According to Israel's Channel 2, another choice, the area of the nearby Diplomat Hotel, currently a home for elderly immigrants. The U.S. owns the property, but not the hotel. A third site is this abandoned lot in the busy Talpiot neighborhood, owned by the U.S. Former Israeli Finance Minister Yair Lapid says Trump's pledge to move the U.S. Embassy is an excellent idea.
It's about time. We are sitting now in Israel's capital.
According to opinion polls, Lapid is seen as a top contender for Israeli prime minister in the future. In response to a question from CBN News, Lapid told foreign journalists that every embassy should be in Jerusalem.
This is our capital. We waited 2,000 years to come back here, and we expect the world to acknowledge this fact and to recognize Jerusalem as our capital, and therefore we should have here the embassy.
He related a story from President Obama's recent trip to Israel.
I remember not long ago on Shimon Peres's funeral, the White House issued a statement saying the president was in Jerusalem, and then they changed it, not to mention Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And this was in Western Jerusalem. It wasn't even in Eastern Jerusalem. And I think this is preposterous.
No country in the world recognizes Jerusalem as Israel's capital. A State Department official told CBN News, since Israel's founding, administrations of both parties have maintained a consistent policy of recognizing no state as having sovereignty over Jerusalem. We remain committed to this long-standing policy. But in 1995, the U.S. Congress passed the Jerusalem Embassy Act, mandating the move of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. So far, every president has avoided the move, citing security concerns and signing a special waiver. Moving the embassy wouldn't make everyone happy.
There will be happiness on the Israeli side, there will be unhappiness on the Arab-Palestinian side. There may be riots, there may be violence.
Some say the move must come in the wider context of an Israeli-Palestinian peace agreement. Others believe Jerusalem is Israel's eternal, undivided capital. In the meantime, many say if the move is ever going to happen, Trump is the one to get the job done. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Charles Grassley is asking the FBI to start a criminal investigation into Planned Parenthood. The committee released a detailed report about Planned Parenthood's possible illegal harvesting and sale of baby body parts. Oklahoma Senator James Lankford applauded the recommendation, calling the abortion giant, quote, barbaric. He says it is time to use taxpayer dollars to support women's care without supporting abortion. Ohio Governor John Kasich has signed a bill that bans abortions after 20 weeks, but he also vetoed what's known as the heartbeat bill, which would have banned abortions after a baby's heartbeat can be detected. The Ohio is now the 15th state to adopt the 20-week abortion ban, created to protect the unborn who can feel pain by 20 weeks. Kasich says the heartbeat bill would have cost Ohio an expensive legal battle against pro-choice advocates. Ohio lawmakers still, though, have the chance to override his veto. That will require a 3/5 majority of each chamber. The Oklahoma Supreme Court has thrown out a law requiring doctors at abortion clinics to have hospital admitting privileges. The court said the law violates the U.S. Constitution by placing an undue burden on women who are trying to have an abortion. Supporters of the law say it protects the health and safety of women. Still to come here on CBN NewsWatch, a church in Washington, D.C. reaches out to a Syrian refugee family. See how this congregation is providing friendship and financial help. That story is coming up right after this. While politicians have been debating about the Syrian refugee crisis, members of one church have stepped in to provide real solutions. Abigail Robertson shows us why this congregation and its members in Washington are doing what they believe the Bible is calling them to do: love their neighbors.
This may look like a regular prayer meeting, but those being prayed over might surprise you. A Muslim family recently resettled from Syria, who left their country when ISIS invaded their hometown and gunned down many of their neighbors. The family buried their 16-year-old son alive for hours during the raid to protect him from being forcibly recruited to the terrorist organization. Members from National Community Church have gathered to listen to the family's story and learn more about why they fled to the United States.
Have you ever met any Syrian refugees before?
No. I don't think so.
Media gives a lot of, these are bad people, watch out for them, all sorts of danger, and just know that it's not true.
Pastor Dave Schmidgall and his wife Kate met the family shortly after they arrived in the U.S. They spoke no English and were placed in the expensive city of Washington, D.C. The resettlement agency covered expenses for only 3 months. The father, Bashir, once an electrician, now feels helpless.
In Syria, he was very strong. He was a provider. He had a sure skill set and a profession. Here, he feels lost. He's working really hard to learn English, but the pressure to get financial security is pretty strong.
Kate and Dave realized 2 major things missing in Bashir's family's resettlement process: friendships and income. They opened up their home to host this event, which solved both those issues and gave the church an opportunity to put a face to the crisis.
What's missing is friendship, it's relationship, it's a meal.
Those attending not only met the family, they learned to make a Syrian dish called labne, a type of cheese. Each person also gave money toward the family's rent.
It was so simple, like we're just making cheese and they're just sharing their stories and we're just praying for them, and just to see like God's hands and feet in action here tonight was really cool.
But what you see happening here is easier said than done.
Across the nation, 73%, just the general population, it avoids or is uncomfortable with conversations with Muslims. It takes a little bit of risk to cut past the rhetoric and the opinions to get involved in areas that are controversial, but there are people behind these topics and these issues.
Lead pastor Mark Batterson found that out after his wife returned from a refugee missions trip.
Her heart started to break for what I believe breaks the heart of God. And when your wife has a heart for something as her husband, you get a heart for it.
Pastor Batterson believes if churches move past the politics, they could change the course of this crisis.
Sometimes we confuse political issues with biblical issues. My hope and prayer would be that the church would recognize this is one of the greatest crises of our generation, and how we respond to it might just define our future as the church.
NCC plans to host more Listen and Learn events with different refugee families in the future. As for Bashir, he started a handyman service with the help of Kate in hopes of one day becoming self-sufficient in America. Reporting from Washington, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Up next, finding God in the unbearable aftermath of tragedy. We'll hear the remarkable faith of the mother of one young victim from the Sandy Hook shooting. Four years ago today, little Catherine Hubbard kissed her mother and boarded the school bus for the very last time. In just a few hours, Catherine was gone, a victim of one of the deadliest shootings in American history, the Sandy Hook massacre. On this somber anniversary, we wanted to take some time to honor this precious little girl and hear from her mother about how God has brought something beautiful from the tragedy.
911, what's the location of the emergency?
I think there's somebody shooting in here in Sandy Hook School.
I prayed, keep them safe, bring them home.
Do you see anything or hear anything more?
I keep hearing shooting, I keep hearing popping.
I saw Freddie, and Freddie said, I can't find Catherine, I can't find Catherine.
Get the sergeant, get everybody you can going down there.
I stood there as the children's names were called and the parents took them from the line, and then you looked along the back wall of the firehouse and you saw the parents whose children did not respond here.
Freddie and I were sitting there and he had his head on my shoulder, and I just remember the weight of his head of, like, wow. I knew in my gut that Catherine had died.
The grieving town of Newtown, Connecticut holds the first funerals today for victims of the school shooting that left 20 children and 6 adults dead.
20-year-old Adam Lanza carried out the deadly rampage before taking his own life.
There are many questions. What if the shooter had no access to the guns?
Others say the real problem is our mental health system.
This never should have happened. How could this happen?
There is evil. There's an abundance of evil in the world, and we have to confront it.
I miss her laugh. I miss her bear hugs. She would crawl into bed early in the morning, and I miss rolling over and seeing her face. There's mornings that I roll over and think, oh, you're still here. Animals were just her passion, tried and true. Whether they were furry or slimy, she loved them all. She'd be in the garden, and she'd be among the butterflies that would sort of swoop in, and she would get a butterfly on her hand, and she would whisper to them, tell all your friends that I'm kind.
This question just kept being thrown to me. Is this making you lose your faith in God? Because how do you explain this? You know, how do you explain a senseless act like this?
How do we go on? How do we go on? There was so much sadness, so much weight, so much pain. The quiet that ensued after Catherine died was just painful.
I knew I had to do something in this church. I came back here, it was 2 hours before the service, and the church was already filled. And people were just forming their own prayer circles. Some were just singing Christmas carols. It was very clear to all of us that light is not going to be overcome by darkness.
The getting used to the new normal, it was hard. We would start to talk about Catherine, and then someone would go, I can't do this. We each had those moments. But in getting through that, it drew us closer together. It forced us to depend more heavily on God. And somehow between 12/14 and the funeral, and then putting Freddie back on the bus and sending him to school, in each of those moments, I haven't had to worry about what to do. And so many days when I am just sad and I just miss Catherine, the sun comes through the kitchen and warms me like you would think that I had the heat on full blast. Just God reaching in and saying, I'm here. He knows my disappointment and my heartache, and that's okay because God's bigger than that. We had written her obituary and had said, in lieu of flowers, please donate to the Animal Center of Newtown. Within 2 or 3 weeks, they had received over $100,000 in donations in Catherine's honor. They had shared that they would like to build a sanctuary. And as they described their vision, I saw Catherine, I felt Catherine, I knew in my heart that this was the road that we needed to take. Every decision that we've made, from design to programming, she's at the heart of it all. And in so many ways, in so many moments, I feel like it's that place where heaven and earth connect, and I can be with Catherine, and oh my gosh, what a gift. And to think that God would say, okay, this is where I need you to be. That he would entrust all of the people that he's brought into the fold with such an awesome responsibility that at the end of the day is reflective of our baby girl. Oh my gosh, what an honor. I have come to an understanding that she was never mine. She's God's. He's brought her home. We're here because we still have work to be done. He has a purpose for us. He has a purpose for Freddie. Freddie's journey's not done. Catherine's was. I can't be angry about that. Do I want more time with her? Yes, absolutely, positively. What I wouldn't give for one more day. But I don't want to take heaven away from her. I don't. We rest in hope, knowing that there will be a day when we'll see her again.
What do you have if you don't have faith? You can get very disheartened, you can get very discouraged, you can give up, you can feel like, why bother? We all have to reckon with that because we don't know at any moment what can happen. And I think we have to be able to find some peace within ourselves. And I don't know a better place to find peace than prayer.
When Catherine died, I felt like I was a faithful person. I wasn't even scratching the surface. There was a time when prayer was reserved for when the house was clean. I had a few minutes and it was quiet, and it was the setting that God would want. Like, okay, here I am, and my house looks perfect, and I'm dressed, and aren't you happy with me? Where now, it's a constant dialogue. It's open my eyes to see you, open my ears to hear you, and give me the courage, dear God, to do what I'm supposed to do today.
We were asked to carry a huge cross. And what are we going to show the world? Are we going to fall on our knees in weakness? Or are we going to be like Christ and get up again? It's still hard to drive down that road. It's still hard. But the lessons and the stories and the incredible gifts that these little children at 6 and 7 left the world, you realize you have to go on.
The days where I'm like, oh, this is too much. I think of her leaning over the counter, determined that she was going to write her name perfectly. I only hope that we walk with such grace and poise and leave the legacy that she has left us.
If you're dealing with grief for any reason, or maybe you just have some questions about God, CBN has resources available to you 24/7. Just head to cbn.com, and at the top of the page, click on the Know Jesus button or the prayer button. There is always someone available there to help. Stay with us. We will be right back. It's now time for your Wednesday word, and today's word is give. It is the perfect word for this Christmas season, and the scripture reminds us all, give and it shall be given unto you, in good measure pressed down, shaking together, and running over, shall men give unto you. We don't give to get, but God does promise that with our generosity, it will produce generosity towards us. With that word, make this a wonderful Wednesday. And that is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Hope you will join us again right here next time. Make this a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.